after that.
Dude, oranges and blue moons are where it's at. That does not serve a purpose like the lime in the Corona.
The lime in the Corona keeps the flies away.
But it does add a nice flavor.
It adds a nice flavor.
Citrusy and light.
Yeah, light. We're in the summertime. We've talked about this.
Yes, we have.
Oh, that's too heavy for me. Yeah, well, it is.
I'll have a bowl of chili and a Guinness, please.
White chili.
No.
And a land shark.
Full test of white chili and a
White
land
chili
shark.
and a land shark.
There it is.
Throw that on your elitist hunter.
White chili and a land shark is what it'll be.
Oh, boy.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag. You hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Week after week, we come down to this basement in this dingy, dark place in my house in Oconomowoc where it stinks like cat litter and whatever is in that wax melt to cover up the cat litter scent. Sometimes
the combination is wonderful.
Sometimes I run ozone to really help here, and I feel like that's been making it worse. I did plug in a dehumidifier the other day, though.
Oh, that helps.
I thought that might do some good. It's on the other end of the basement, though, where there's a water problem.
Your house probably needs 2 of those. It's so big.
It's not.
It's not. It's doing like
don't
that room.
Don't make
and
the
that's
Okayest
it.
Hunter sound like we're more than we're. It's so big, you need 2.
No, I'm serious. Coming from an HVAC guy, I'm telling you, that thing is like a fart in a windstorm.
The cubic
so I'll
footage
never
is
smell
immense.
it.
That's right.
Unlike the fart that you lay down in here, we smell it. Is that onion? Ketchup? You have onion and ketchup
Right away,
for
I
lunch?
get blamed for stuff I didn't even do.
Talking about farting in the wind.
You were thinking about it, though.
Well, not going to say I wasn't, but I'm not going to say I was either.
This other gentleman behind you, when you go to get permission on private land and you secretly bring a buddy. Hello, Miss Lady. That's Brennan. Or
No,
Dale.
that's,
I don't know.
No,
which
that's
one.
Eric.
Okay. We're brought to you by Half Rack. I'm like choking now all of a sudden. half-rack.com, code OHP. Our giveaway is going live tomorrow. That is Wednesday. It'll be on their page and our page on the Instagram stuff. So check that out. Details will be in the content of the post. So we're giving away some stuff. They're giving away some stuff. We're all giving away some stuff.
Go get some stuff.
So
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. I think the rules are something like this post, tag a buddy, follow both pages. It's not more complicated. I know we talked about making it extraordinarily complicated just to be an asshole.
There's still time.
And we changed our mind.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can make some fake rules. Check out our other partners: Latitude Outdoors, Spartan Forge, Method Archery, Go Wild. I'm going to be doing some interesting things. I think I talked about this last week, so I'll be on some sort of rotation with baking in some clever, organic, natural type ad stuff. It won't be
Pre-planned, natural, organic, candid, but
grass-fed ads.
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, lion's mane, the real stuff that'll give you good energy. All that I don't even know. I keep getting these ads from Mudwater. I'm like, I'm not giving up coffee, guys. Just get out of my freaking feed.
You don't want to drink mushroom water?
I would try it, but
I would try it.
I would try it. I think it'd be fun to try, but I just really enjoy coffee. So
We should do a organic mushroom water taste test.
oh yeah, we'll just mix them with the fucking Malort.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotta be right up there.
Right up there with Alpa's ass water.
It's actually how Malort is made.
It's the sweat from some young man's butt crack.
So code OHP for all the partners will save you some money. All right. And we love all them. And we'll probably talk with them naturally throughout this episode and others just because we're all we go wild. We use Method Archery, we use Spartan Forge. We're in the Latitude platforms and saddles, and Craig's got the knee pads because he's extra special, but you know, we love him.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I shot a turkey for the first time ever. I got my first ever turkey.
Woo! Yeah.
What can I say
Whoa, whoa,
except
whoa, whoa.
you're welcome?
Hey. Damn right, man. Thank you, Greg. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't have happened.
Well,
Greg is a tremendous guide.
Uh,
Oh, there we go.
there it is.
Tap yourself on the back, big guy.
No, man, it's a group effort.
It-
You had a
it really
camera
is a
guy, you had-
trifecta.
You had a great caller right behind you. There was no reason for me to join the party, although we could have doubled up pretty easily with
Yeah,
three
with three
birds.
birds you
came,
could have,
Oh, is that what-
actually.
Three came
birds.
in?
Three birds came right in out of, I don't know, there was probably 5 or 6 of them in that field gobbling along with all the hens and the birds that weren't gobbling. You know,
All I know is we got there when there were birds gobbling in basically every direction except the direction we drove in from. I
Yep.
mean, we got there, I was like, wow, this could happen. I mean, usually I'm thinking
It's going to be a miracle.
nothing's going to happen. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go home and everyone's going to be like, how'd you do? I'm like, I didn't see any turkeys. I didn't see any deer.
You had the
I didn't
speech
catch
prepared.
any fish. It's always the same thing. And it didn't go that way. They gobbled. They made their way over slowly but surely. We had Matt calling. He eased up when they got closer. They stepped into the field. There's a little bit of a dip where we were worried that they weren't going to see the decoy set up. There's just a dominant tom and a hen decoy. And the way we were tucked in with the sun coming up in our eyes, there's also a concern that depending on when the sun was going to
the
rise,
glare.
it could have glared off the camera or like could have picked us out. And
Because you had light on
On
your
it.
heads,
Yep.
on your gun.
so
The trigger was pulled at 6:12 a.m.
Nice.
I didn't wait. Keegan, our camera guy, was like, dude, you should have let him. I mean, not to like you would have known because you're new, Eric, but he's like, oh, I love letting him come and play with the decoys. I love watching him mess that crap up. And he's like, I was hoping that was going to happen, but you just boom, didn't waste any time. And Matt was like, well, it's a good thing you shot it when you did because they were so close together that you could have shot a couple of them. That would have been bad.
Yeah.
Although we did have another guy with the tag. So
Yeah,
maybe
it would have been
worked out,
fine.
But,
I don't know if you saw any of the footage from mine earlier in the week, but I did not wait either.
I didn't know.
He
I
was
was like, I
in
don't
the
want to mess
decoy,
this
and I
up.
was like,
Like,
nope,
no.
he's there.
We don't have time for this
Yeah.
nonsense.
Get
Let's
it
just take care of business right now.
Congrats, man. Good
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Shot him in the face, and he dropped, flopped, and that was it. Like
Sweet. How far away was he?
I don't-
20,
I don't know,
20,
25
maybe
yards?
not
I
even.
mean, it was Greg's gun, so it was clearly very accurate because he.
All you got to do is make someone pull the trigger. The gun does the rest.
It's true.
Hey, I can't blame the equipment. All right, if it would have gone wrong, it'd have been my
Well,
fault.
that would have been easy, though.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Greg's gun.
I don't know what this guy's doing with his
That
choke.
pea shooter?
I
No.
asked him. I said, "Do you know where you're?" I handed the gun. I said, "Treat it right." What do you mean, treat it right? I said, "Be nice to it." I said, "And where are
Did
you
I
going to
say
shoot?
this?
Where are you going to shoot this bird?" I'm just going to shoot it. I said, "No, you
No.
shoot it in the
I
head."
asked. I said, where should I aim?
No, I
And then
told
you said
to
aim for the head.
I said you aim for the head.
And I was like, thank you for telling me that because I didn't know where to shoot. He's like, you don't want to pick those BBs out of the breast.
No.
So
And you do have to be careful because some people shoot it in the head means like put the bead right here.
You did
and
say-
then a lot of your patterns go in here.
Yep.
And like,
I
base of
probably
the
did
neck, like-
actually aim. I didn't fully listen because I think in the moment I probably aimed for precisely the head is where I had the beat,
it worked.
but it worked.
It worked, but that gun has a pretty tight pattern. That
Yeah.
choke is, it's
Especially
money.
at that close.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was
Yeah,
like,
I don't think you had much more than a cone angle by about that much when it left hit that bird.
He
at
had a
that
headache, didn't
distance.
he?
Yeah.
yes.
That's awesome.
And then they helped me. Matt and him helped me. Like quarter up and pull the meat out or whatever. I don't even. We didn't gut it. I don't know what you call this when you do this to a bird. Quartering.
You break it down.
Break it down.
Break it down for you.
Break it down.
Yeah, we broke it down and took some meat out, put it in a bag, stacked on the half rack stool because their meat lug isn't out yet. I was like, "Hey guys, when's the meat lug coming out?" That would have been helpful.
So was
But,
Josh not there?
He was.
No.
His wife had strep,
Oh man.
and then he had to do double dad duty. And I don't know if he got it or not too, but it was it was the right thing to do for him. Like your wife's sick, you're not going turkey hunting. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
man up and step up to the plate and do your job, which he did. So I was like, yeah, do what you got to do, man. Sucks that you won't be there, but more turkey for me.
Worked out?
I'm sure he would have sat with Greg, and I don't know.
We would have probably went somewhere else. We would have went off into the never.
Into the thick stuff.
Into
I mean, they
thick
were
of
all
it.
over. I mean, there was
Came up
like
full
they
of
were
ticks.
they were gobbling
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole time. I had no ticks on me. I sprayed myself with permethrin the night before.
So it worked.
Apparently, I mean, I was pretty diligent, but I was very liberal with spraying that stuff on there. Sawyer's, that yellow bottle,
Mhm.
just doused. I think I was still wet a little bit in the morning, and then I had my butane from my thermocell running in the tote all night. So I opened up. I was like, "Oh, it smells like gas in here." So
One of these smells should work
something.
to keep the bugs away.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a guest with us. We got John. I don't know that I've actually ever said your last name, but I believe it's Radzwilla. John Radzwilla, founder of Hook and Barrel. What's up, John?
First off, not a mucho, man. First off, I call that Daytona spring breaking the bird. It's called breasting out.
But we didn't just take the breast meat. We took the legs and the thighs as well.
That was a bad dad joke.
The Daytona,
dad
I like
joke,
that. That's a good touch.
Shake and bake.
Yeah, Daytona, Florida.
We call that a Jake and bake.
Sorry. That was a terrible introduction.
Let's welcome John.
I have a sound effect for the.
Obviously, he fits right in.
Cheers.
It's the. Oh, that's the wrong one. Where is it?
I do.
Oh, come on. I like that one.
No. I'm just kidding. It was one of these. All right, good one. Yeah.
And if you're breasting out multiple birds, that's bike week.
Anyway,
Okay.
that is bike week.
I gotta get up.
Those are called crows, old crows. There's no young hens at bike week.
Isn't that just called Sturgis?
That's a totally different one.
Didn't you go to Sturgis?
I've been through there.
If this is how this podcast is starting out.
Nowhere to go but up, buddy.
Yeah, we start at the bottom.
We set the bar low, so even a kindergartner could make over the hurdle.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. I got to come in contact with you through Gunpowder, which folks that know me know that's where I work by day. And I think you tripped into one of the articles I put out somewhere on the internet. And then I was like, well, I think I can write you one maybe for Hook and Barrel. And I did. And you published it. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe you published it.
Whoa. You could string a few words together, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I pulled an all-nighter that one. I was like, I got so excited about it. I just stayed up all night. And my wife's a teacher. She's really good with the written word and grammar. And I usually give her a pass on things, but this one I just stuffed into Grammarly to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then I kicked your way. So I was like, man, if you find anything you want to correct, like, go nuts. I will not have any hurt feelings because I don't know what I'm doing.
Dude, that ChatGPT and Grammarly article you sent me.
That's where it's at. Just a maestro.
Write an article on hunting in a passive voice, but sound excited.
Yeah, you just got to tell it to like sound like Gary Vaynerchuk or something like that. And it's like it just says hustle every other word. Kind of hustle. Yeah.
Hey, I swear, sometimes I'm like, I wonder where some of these submissions come from, and some of them like really old writers, and they're like, when they send me a submission and it starts out with, please read the attached manuscript. I'm like,
did he write that with a typewriter?
But I've been dude, and I've been recently though getting ones where it just reeks of chatbot, and I'm like, no, I don't want the manuscript, and I don't want the chatbot. Like, is there any normal person? And you actually fell within the realm of like very, very good writing, and I couldn't agree more with
That's
the article.
Cool. Yeah, for those that are listening, it was a term that I stole from Greg here. I said our keyboard cowboy is ruining hunting, and whatever. It's like hypothetical. Yeah. What's that called? A rhetorical? I don't know,
dude. I literally was thinking about that article the other day. So we were in New Zealand on a red stag hunt with federal premium. And my wife last September had a back surgery, and the back surgeon fucked up and hit her nerve root, and her foot is actually like limited mobility, paralyzed. But in January, like at SHOT Show and then doing ATA, she was in a wheelchair. And so we ran into Jason Vanderbrink, the CEO of Federal, and he's like, look, if you could get out of that chair, I will take you on your dream hunt, because Natalie's always wanted to red stag hunt. So like she shoots this awesome stag. She trains her ass off. She's like on trekking poles, like out of wheelchair on trekking poles, and just nails this great stag. But it leaves me like minimal amount of time to hunt. So we charter a helicopter and we go up looking for tar. And like, remember, I'm only in New Zealand. I've flown around the world for 23 hours to get there. I'm there for 12 days. And my wife's hunt takes a bunch because like mobility is like an issue, right? And so I have this limited amount of time, and this dude gets on my feed, on my personal feed, and is like, dude, you're fucking weak. I broke my back, and I packed out a bear myself. And I'm like, seriously, dude? Like, first off. And then he's like, why are you cheating? I'm like, just stay triggered, dude. And he's like, no, that's cheating. And I'm like, would you just leave me alone, dude? Like, literally, my wife couldn't walk. You too say you broke your back. And then he's like, oh, way to post your pictures and not her. Way to be a great husband. I'm like, dude, asshole, check my feed. I already posted her stuff. Like, you're just on this particular picture that Instagram fed you, just puking on my feed about the fact that I didn't pack out the freaking tar. I'm like, I'm here for 12 days. It took 8 days for Natalie to get her stag. Like, chill out. And you know what? It just comes back to like keyboard warriors ruining hunting. Like, I flew around the globe. I shot an exotic animal. I had an epic freaking hunt. Took me all day to find one, shot one, and I just happened to fly it back in the helicopter because I didn't have time to do it. But yet you're over here just spewing on my parade. I'm like, you know, keyboard warriors are ruining hunting, and it drives me nuts. Like, our numbers are already diminishing. The antas are like pounding on our door with pitchforks and torches. The last thing we need to do is have like our own industry fighting us from within. Like, it's just stupid. But you know,
Derek's
I just
ready
told the
to
guy
go
keep
here.
drinking Bud Light. And
Dude's never shot an animal in the middle of Mordor. Why would he? Come on.
And what really is crazy about that is, like, yes, that was loaded because we're talking about Eric's article, but here you experienced this amazing hunt in a beautiful place with your wife that overcame this. And instead of talking about all the good stuff that happened, like, the first thing that we had to talk about was how some jackass had to talk like nasty to you guys and like put that taste in your mouth over this like once in a lifetime experience. That sucks.
Literally, almost the exact quote was, "You are weak. What's your excuse for being lazy?"
Wow.
Seriously, bro?
Not surprised though. Not surprised. And you know, I think the article I highlighted this quote from Marcus Aurelius about like, you don't always have to have an opinion. And I don't mean that like keep stuff to yourself, but like honestly, you can just keep scrolling. You don't always have to have something to say. And the keyboard cowboy, keyboard warrior mantra is you feel compelled to have to. Facebook's like, tell me your opinion. It's like, how about no, Facebook? Like, I think at some point it's like, tell me how you're feeling or what's your opinion on this? Or it's like, it's trying to tease it out of people. And in real life, you just don't do that. It doesn't exist. So yeah, sometimes just keep scrolling, ignore it, and move on. We don't have to get Draeger to have an opinion. But dude, tell us real quick before we, take the train completely off the rails here in Negative Town. I don't want that to be the central theme necessarily, but what took and barrel? Like, what do you do there? How did you start that?
Man, I'll tell you what, it kind of started off like you guys are doing right now, like drinking bourbon, and it was really a bar napkin thing. So I was at a PR agency before I started Hook and Barrel, and then after that I started my own PR agency, and I was like chasing the media. I mean, Eric, you do the job. You're always reaching out to, publications and media outlets like, hey, this is an awesome new product. Check this out. And you just try and get your clients press. And so I was like, I'm people. So why don't I become the media? So I'm sitting at this bar and I'm like, could there just be a redneck GQ? Because I'm really tired of Maxim, Men's Health, and GQ. Like, I don't wear suits anymore, so I don't really read GQ. Maxim, I mean, all of a sudden, like, the girls, it's not about girls anymore. It was like some kind of woke bullshit. And then Men's Health, again, like, started vilifying conservatives. I'm like, what are we doing here? So I literally like cashed out. I only had one beer, ran across the street to the mall, went to the Barnes and Nobles, and just started going through the magazine racks. And of course, like, you had your usual suspects there, and like, it was Barnes and Nobles, and this is like 6 years ago before they got crazy as well. But I couldn't find a lifestyle magazine for outdoorsmen. And so I found like Recoil, and I found Peterson's, and I found like all of the industry, like specific niche ones, but I couldn't find just a general interest one. Also, I didn't shoot my first deer until like 13, 14 years ago. And because I grew up without a dad, I'm like, if I read Peterson's, I am so far behind already that, like, I just started reading it a few years ago personally. And like, I finally feel like I'm caught up to where they're at. And so I was like, there's got to be just a general interest magazine, a redneck GQ, and a place that anybody at any level, whether you are a top level veteran hunter and you've done all the backcountry stuff and like you've done the sheep slam, cool. We'll find you something to be interested in within the pages. If you're the novice hunter and you have no freaking clue, if you're the okayest hunter, there's going to be something for you. We talk, travel and destination. We talk food. We talk music. Literally, it is what you would expect. If there was a redneck version of GQ, that's what we put out. The other thing I wanted to do was have subject matter experts in there that could explain like really rudimentary things, and then also take people that are not your your very, very, elite hunters, and just find people. Like we've had people like Brett Michaels from Poison on our cover. We've like right now Hardy is on our cover. But we've also had Ranella on our cover, and we've had Waddell on our cover. But I really try to present a holistic approach to the outdoor lifestyle. So our moniker is we're a lifestyle magazine for the modern outdoorsman. But we cover literally even things that like Richard Rawlings from Fast and Loud doesn't hunt, kind of likes to fish, but the DNA of an outdoorsman, there's a very high probability that they're going to like classic cars and muscle cars and speed and horsepower. And so we put Richard on the cover of last May, June, and it went over exceedingly well. And I think it's just like looking at the lifestyle and going, look, it's not always about hunting. It's not always about fishing. It's like, what do we do the other 355 days a year that, the average hunter, is actually just driving to work, sitting in his cubicle, working on the job site. Like he's doing other things. He's not always in the backcountry chasing like mule deer. And that's kind of what we did, man. And I went after it, and I came home and told my wife, who was burned out at her position as well. And she was kind of tired of doing the PR thing on the side with me. And so we both looked at each other and said, let's do it. And honestly, probably if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have started the magazine because of just the epic freaking journey it has been to get to where we are now. But I think cooler minds may have prevailed in my internal discussion and went, look, you know what you know now. You are one of America's fastest growing lifestyle magazines for outdoorsmen. Like you are successful now. It's just going to take 5 years of suck to get here. And, but we put in the work, and here we are, man. And it's just a blessing. And I have to check myself every day. Like, did I actually do this? Do I have a publishing house behind me? No, this is ran out of my house. I've got 30 different employees and writers around the country that we use regularly. But for the most part, it's just like, everyone home offices, everyone lives this like really cool lifestyle. And we just try to put out the best content we can. And we don't compete with the other big magazines out there, but we kind of we're a symbiotic relationship with them. I kind of look at it like we're a feeder to them, like learn, enjoy, step up to Peterson's. And then if you're not always hunting and you want to read about your favorite country music artist, dude, put down that magazine and read our magazine. But we could live this really cool, lifestyle together and not be pissed off. Like I literally just was hunting with David Draper, the editor-in-chief of Peterson's, a few weeks ago in Nebraska. And like, there's no competition at all. It was just like two dudes hanging out, just kind of like you all are down whatever base you're in.
No competition here, right, fellas? If there were, Greg would have ran across the field and shot that other turkey. No, that's pretty cool. I mean, that 5 year, if I would have thought about in hindsight, it's 2020, maybe you went to the magazine route. I can't imagine the sheer lift that must have taken, the capital, the wherewithal. I know nothing about that print magazine stuff. Like it's not my jam. I'm a digital guy, so it's pretty cool because you have a digital offering also, and a lot of the stuff lives digitally, but you have the print side. And I one of our core values, if you will, I guess if we have a core value at Okayest Hunter, is different, not better. I think anytime we go to market with something, how can we do something different? And I pull from this book called Play Bigger out of the Y Combinator folks, and that whole group of people in Silicon Valley that talk about, like, I think one of the examples was 5 Hour Energy. And when that came to market, there was Red Bull, there was Monster, there was all these energy drinks. Plus there was coffee and iced coffee. And they're like, why the hell did you do another energy drink? I know that's the terrible idea. No one's going to buy that. And he's like, look, mine's not going to be refrigerated. Mine's not 20 ounces. Mine's this tiny shot glass that sits at the front of the checkout, and it's all B12. And you can guzzle this down in 5 seconds. You don't have all the liquid. You're not trying to take 10 Ps in a 1 hour long car ride. You're not going to get all sweaty from drinking a hot coffee or whatever. Like, you just down this thing and you're good for 5 hours. It was different. It's not better than Red Bull. It's not better than, coffee, but it's different. It hits different. And I think you've created something that is not necessarily better than Peterson's or Men's Health, but it's different. And that's important. Like, I think not everyone needs to be puffing their chest about, I'm better than you. And I know I'm better than you. Well, that's relative to what? Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we set out to do. And that's kind of, that's where we've landed. And actually, we started out the print magazine because I knew that every brand needed a tangible product. And so I never wanted to just be an online resource. Like I didn't want to become just an online blog. So I knew that the print world is very difficult, but I knew I was going to do things differently, and I was going to try to approach it from a totally different viewpoint, which we did, and it made that succeed. And then, believe it or not, like our print circulations, we have like 55,000 in print. We have 187,000 digital subscribers. So it's actually more than triple online, but people know us as the print magazine, which was great because we have a tangible product that people know. But at the same time, the complication now, as we're further down the life cycle of the business, is people keep thinking we're just a print magazine and print is dead. And like that's not the case. First off, second off, the digital end of our business is 3 times bigger than our print business, and actually, revenue has literally probably just caught up to like print is now caught up to digital, and so they're running an equal playing field.
That's
now,
fascinating.
So.
How did COVID? I mean, were you were birthing this thing in the midst of a pandemic? It sounds like. How did that shape this,
dude? COVID was the ultimate blessing for us, and I have to caveat that with like so many people like lost jobs and family members and all the crap that went along with COVID. Don't even get me started on that. But so Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, where a primary point of our distribution is, they were deemed essential stores. And so at first I was like, what are we going to do? We're screwed. But people kept going to Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, and when everything else was closed, like people just kept going there, more people, and they start flying off the shelves. Like our May-June cover of 2020 was Emerald Lagasse. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Like I had just hit print on like 50,000 and the world was shutting down. And so I started calling all my buddies like in fishing tournaments because they were still allowed to go fishing. If you recall that. And I'm like, dude, we're going to give every angler from literally from Destin to like freaking Padre is going to get one of these in their magazine or in their angler bags because I got to get rid of these. Well, as it turned out, like Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's are still open. So I'm like, sorry guys, like we're going to be kind of picky for the free magazines in their angler bags. And, like send them. And so that's what we did. And at the same time, like the celebs were at home just like twiddling their thumbs. There were no concerts, and celebrities still like to talk about themselves and what they're doing. So I just start booking and booking. And like that year we start off like pandemic start off with Emerald Lagasse, but then we've had, I mean, gosh, I forget who all was on the cover in 2020. Like January, Feb was Mike Rowe. Then man, I know you're back 2 years, but we've like that or 3 years now. But that year, literally, we had so many great freaking covers, and I booked out for like 2 years worth of covers. And so the other part of that game that's really interesting is in the PR world, you're only as good as your last cover. And so the publicists were like, well, who's on your cover next, or who has been your past cover? And I'm like, well, Luke Bryan, Emerald Lagasse, Mike Rowe, and you start rattling off these names, and they're like, holy shit, like these guys are legit. And so they start booking their people. So literally, like it allowed me to spool up and build the momentum that I need. Meantime, my magazines were still turning, or our magazines as a company were still turning, and I was booking out talent, and it literally created like jet fuel for us. And then at that same time, everybody was fishing. And everybody's trying to get outdoors. Hunting numbers were up. Fishing numbers were like through the roof. And here we were like in this lifestyle. And there were so many new people into the sport as well. And here I'm waving a magazine that's going like, hey, this is for everybody, not just like the elite hunter or like the law enforcement or military guy. And everyone's dug it. And it just kind of exploded, man. It was just, again, another one of those God things for me.
That's crazy.
It's like... taking lemonade, making lemonade out of lemons.
If we can get intro to Luke Bryan, I mean, that'd be freaking cool. My wife would be obsessed. That's who I'm actually doing it for. Anyway, so when someone's on the cover, what does that mean? Like, does it mean like you've gained permission? I read this book called The Third Door by the hell's his name, Alex Banayan. And then I invited him to do a speaking event for the company I was at before, and it's kind of cool. But like his book was way better than him in person because he just regurgitated his book in person and he wouldn't go off script at all. But nonetheless, the book was great. He talked about like if you can't get in the door through the line in the front, like you can't get in the back door because it's locked. You can climb on the trash cans and jump through the freaking window. There's always a way to get through to someone.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool how he shared these connections and relationships. And so, like, as you're getting access to some of these people, I imagine that's got to be tough because they have handlers or agents or agencies. You're never talking to the person or the person. So I guess it's a two-part question. A, how the hell do you do that? And B, when someone's on the cover, is there like, are you interviewing them to get a feature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 page, like, cover of them, so to speak? And I don't mean cover literally. I mean like, I don't know what you call it. Again, I'm not a journalist, so I don't know what the hell it's called. Some more of that dropped.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, or whatever that's called. With some people, and other times it's just the publicist game. Like Luke was an absolute 2-year not Okayest Hunter moment. It was like backcountry sheep hunt, like fucking. I put in tags for years.
Nice.
Lottery. It's a lifetime lottery draw.
Yeah, it's like a once in a lifetime. Like there's one governor's tag, and I nailed it. So basically how you start out is you plan out your year and you try to figure out what you want, who you want on your covers and why and what they're doing. You also then have to like literally stock their internet presence whatsoever. Like, is he putting out a new album? Is there a new movie? Is there a new show coming on Discovery? Like whatever these things are. And you have to be relevant because they don't want to do things if there's nothing relevant for them to talk about, because they'd much rather just be at home with their families. Hence the reason, 2020 and 2021 and part of 22 was good for getting celebrities booked. So you play the publicist game. You literally there is like the very, very, very base level entry. We don't do it anymore, but we did it in the first year. Go on imdbpro.com. Look at the person, hit their contact information, and basically beg some 20-year-old chick in Los Angeles to allow you to talk to like level 2 gatekeeper, to talk to like level 3 gatekeeper, to finally get to like, it's terrible. But like once you have like one big name you could associate with, the next person will kind of have like FOMO, fear of missing out, and go, boy, if Luke did this, maybe I should do this. And like, you kind of have to grow up to that. Like you can't start off like, I don't think like our first cover was Martin Truex Jr., huge name in the NASCAR world. And that was a friend of a friend that gave me his cell phone number. And I literally cold called this dude for his show.
I know you don't know me, but I know.
Hi, dude. Yeah, I'm starting this magazine.
I've been stuck here for like 6 months and I'm really nervous right now, but let's.
Right. Exactly. And so you kind of build up from there. And that 6 years later, like we're going to Nashville the beginning of June. Can't disclose why. It is a very, very big cover for next year, a very big cover. But like now I could call up people and literally just get publicists on the phone, the person in charge, or like I'll, be out with like, we had a cover or we did Tim Montana in one of the issues. And he was doing a new hot sauce collab during COVID with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. Wow. And like all of a sudden one day I get a FaceTime call and like I just got back from the gym. I'm sweaty. I'm a mess. And it's Tim Montana. I'm like, all right, cool. And it's freaking Billy Gibbons. and I'm like, holy shit, like it's ZZ Top. Like that's really freaking cool. And so sometimes it's like 6 Degrees. Like, who do you know? Like I have no problem calling up, certain people and like, hey, who do you know? And I built this relationship with some of them. And so some of the covers, like I could literally text with and we could just hang out. Some of the covers, I've never talked to them personally. It's one of my writers and they've actually built a relationship. And sometimes it's just playing the publicist game, man. It's a struggle. It's a lot easier to get the hunting industry people than it is to get the people from outside the industry. Because remember, you're dealing with publicists like in New York, in LA, that are protecting the shit out of their client. And they're like, we can't have them near guns, dead animals, ammunition, all this stuff. And you're playing all these different rules. But meantime, they're a country singer talking about hunting deer. So it's It's a game. It's a game every day.
Wild. My brother-in-law just moved to Tennessee. He got his first job out of college working for Interstate Music, and they gave him the keys to this van.
Okay.
It's the Interstate Music van that, like, so they're labeled, like they can take a zero to hero in terms of like the country world. So now they bought a house on whatever that row street is in Nashville, where like all the, I don't know what it's called, Music Row. They got a house. Interstate Music owns a house in Tennessee, and they have a freaking Mercedes van decked out, Interstate Music, and you open up the doors and it's a mobile recording studio with built-in videographers and production company behind it. So he's just pulling up to places, running cameras, letting people play out of the van. And it's crazy. And they're signing artists left and right, like big names. I'm like, dude, I can't believe you get to, like, his name's Sam. He's done all of our audio stuff because he's an audio technician. He went to school to be an audio guy. And so it's really kind of neat. So he got to open up for Luke Combs' band himself at Interstate Music. They have their own thing. It's just kind of an interesting thing, like that he's living this Tennessee life. He just moved there, fresh out of college, lands his dream job, moves to Tennessee. They're funding him to do all this stuff. And he's riding around this country music all-star van. I had a different thought I was going to say there. I don't know what the hell it was. I just sidetracked myself talking about my brother-in-law.
You just pull up the Broadway in the van and offer bachelorette parties, free drinks.
They're everywhere.
Free Cosmos in the back of the van, girl.
Yeah, you heard the intro, like the Okayest Hunter intro. That's Sam. That's his voice. That's my brother-in-law. So he's helped us with all of our podcast intros because we're we have like a podcast network now apparently that we're building. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, it's interesting that you can get through to people, and I think maybe somewhere along the ways you'd mentioned going to Nashville. And the name that comes to mind, I know you can't disclose anything, and you don't have to nod your head one way or the other here, but my bet is it might be Lainey Wilson. But I shared with you that Lainey Wilson was wearing the Okayest Hunter hats last November, and I was like, I didn't know it. I didn't even know she had one of our hats. All of a sudden, I started getting all these text messages from people, and I didn't know who Lainey Wilson was. And I'm like, who's that? That's cool. Some girls wearing her hat. Like, that's great. And suddenly it was like, no, that's Lainey Wilson. And so I was like Googling her, and it was right at the time she was getting famous on TikTok for her, backside. and I was like, oh, this is weird timing, and it was pretty cool. It was a friend of hers we sent hats to, and I guess they must have been all at this party. And so then Mitch Tenpenny was wearing it also, and it was just overall kind of a neat little thing to have happen, that our little brand made it out into the country music scene without really we didn't do it. It just kind of organically happened. It was Megan Patrick who we sent the hats to, because she was like, this is my new favorite hunting brand. I was like, hey, do you want some of our hats? Like, you seem like a pretty neat person.
Yeah. Now we actually had, it's funny. We sent a guy to an event called Elevation in Colorado, one of our riders, Tom Vaneski, and he headed up there, and he interviewed everybody from Drake White to oh gosh, what's her name? It doesn't matter. But like all the way to Lainey Wilson, and it was last year. And so, man, I had heard the preview. Sometimes you get these kind of vibes from like listening to music. I think maybe I have a good sense about it. I don't know, but I'll get like a preview link from the publicist and be like, hey, here's this girl, Lainey Wilson. She's coming out with a new song and collab with Hardy, and it's about to drop, called Get in the Truck. Check it out. It's dropping in like 90 days. And I heard it. I'm like, okay, this has got some wheels. And so we actually did an interview with her. So we actually had Lainey in March, April of this year, actually. And then so there I'm sitting there watching the CMAs 2 weeks ago, just like freaking just be honest. Throw money in the air. But I have no money to throw up in the air. I'm like not making it rain over here at Barrel, but I'm just like, this is awesome. So that's how it happens, right? Like nobody really knew who Lainey was back in the day. She had like really good access, and like you could just have great combos with her. Now we probably can't even talk to her, but we had her on the cover. So to illustrate my point, now I'm able to go and be like, hey, we'd like to have somebody else. We just had Lainey Wilson. And they're like, oh, Lainey. Yeah, we've got to work with Hook and Barrel. And it's kind of building that street cred, man.
It is interesting how like success begets more success. Like the rich get richer. And I don't mean that you're rich or anything. But it is like the more followers you have on TikTok, the more reach you get on TikTok. The more followers you get, the more reach. It just keeps going.
Right.
It's like it is fascinating. If you get like, I remember, Greg. Remember we had Mark Kenyon on the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how we got Mark Kenyon on the first time? It's because I read that stupid book by Alex Benayan called The Third Door. And I
third doored him?
I third doored the shit.
Third door Kenyon?
And he may know it, but Mark never, and Mark's fine. Like I can text him, he'll respond. He's great, and I enjoy what he puts out and so forth. And he's had us on our podcast now, or his, I should say. So it's kind of neat. But at the time, he had just released that Wild Country, and so Mark is not responding to shit. But I was like, I bet you his publisher will respond to me. So I reached out to his publisher on the book. I went in the book, bought the book, opened the cover, found the publishing company, went to LinkedIn, found the publisher, and messaged her. I was like, hey, we have a podcast. I'd love to hear about Mark's book. And so she booked Mark. I don't even think Mark knew he got booked on our podcast. And until he showed up, he's probably like, those mother effers. Like
that's how it goes,
he had
dude.
something to talk about.
Literally, you have.
Yeah, he had something. He had a new book he needed to get out, and I was like, hey, we have a vehicle for that. And granted, it's just a little podunk podcast, but it's something. And so, yeah, I think you're right about that whole, like, pay attention to what people have going on. And if there's an opportunity to get someone like a book release or a song drop or an album or whatever, a hot sauce, apparently, things like that are opportunities. And I say this, and I'm talking to the audience too, because a lot of folks that listen are trying to do something in the outdoor category. They have other podcasters that listen, and like, there's no silver bullet. Some people do know more folks, but like I firmly believe in like giving more than I take. 51-49. That's a Gary Vaynerchuk thing. And in doing that over and over and over and over, there's a compounding effect that happens where there is some reciprocity that I don't ever actually cash in on. I try not to burn social currency, but at some point that reciprocity is like, oh, I'll introduce you to Eric. He's helped me build this, or help me figure that, or help me solve this tech problem, or whatever. It gave me an intro. And at some point, that stuff just starts to stack into your favor. And I think that's pretty cool that you guys have done some of this stuff. And celebrities have a huge following, but they're people just like anybody else that probably worked really effing hard to get there.
Oh yeah, everybody thinks it's like an overnight sensation, and it was 10 years of playing dive bars to get there. And it's one of those kind of things like, when you build a reputation of doing things good and doing them right, then they'll start like referring their friends to you. Like you'll get a call from freaking Billy Gibbons, something like that. And it's just, it's just, I think the silver bullet is just hard work and determination and never freaking giving up. Like you just got to have extreme self-confidence. You've got to put in the work, because if you're not willing to put in the work and step out of your comfort zone and literally operate in uncomfortable situations, you're going to be like everybody else and wondering why you didn't make it. And then like, oh, he's just built different.
No, I just have no shame.
He just doesn't get out. Yeah, no, dude, have no shame. Like literally, if you see, like I was walking through a bar in Nashville, and literally I bumped into him, and then he bumped into, like, we were just walking through. It was Gary Laveau from Rascal Flats. Awesome. And he's like, dude, I'm like, what's up, man? My name's John. I'm from Hook and Barrel. And he's like, I've heard of Hook and Barrel. I would love to work with you guys. And it was like one of those kind of moments where like, you just have to have no shame and be like, I'm not going to like,
squander it.
I'm going to treat you like a normal. Yeah. But at that same time, what was crazy is he had heard about us and he wanted to work with us, but didn't know how to get a hold of us. I'm like, at that moment, I was like, there you go. Right. Like that's the dude from Rascal Flats. And you may have been too chicken shit to go and talk to him at the bar, but I did. And in the meantime, he was trying to look for us at the same time. And so that's one of those kind of things like, you just always have to remember everybody's human and everybody is just trying to do life. Like nobody is above just like being a normal, cool person. And if they are, fuck them. Like, you don't need to talk.
He's got a beautiful voice. And just like Greg said, everyone takes a shit and it's painful.
Oh yeah. And Gary is a huge hunter too. Huge bow hunter.
Is he?
Okay.
Yeah.
He hunted with the Lakoskis on all the videos back in the day, and he's a big time bow hunter.
I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think he's like, I don't know if I don't want to say pro staff, but like he's definitely like sponsored or has some like serious, like from what I understand, he has some level of partnership with Matthews even.
That's cool. You guys both shoot Matthews, don't you? I'm the only bear guy in the room.
Bear guy.
Hey, bear guy.
Hey, bear guy.
You're all set up now, right?
I gotta get new tape.
Gotcha.
But it's like it's as set up as it needs to be before I get new tape on my single sight pin. So I'm gonna go to Whale Tail and make sure I'm like dialed in. But it felt real good. It felt really, really good. And that thing shoots way faster than my single cam Bear Empire from like 1999 or whatever the hell it came out.
Whale.
Yeah, there's an archery shop here in Wisconsin.
Whale
Tail. Greg will talk about it. It's like
it's our
creme de la creme around here.
Yeah, it's our local archery shop. Some would argue they're better, but I don't know. All three of us could walk in there and they would take very good care of us. It maybe helps to know them since they opened that shop. But
weren't they doctor? Wasn't one of the guys like a doctor or something like that? And then
hung
his white coat up to. Is it a white coat when you're a doctor?
That I'm not positive of, but either way, it's something that they both wanted to do. They did it, and they're doing very well for themselves as far as like having a reputable shop and taking care of customers.
It is a really good shop.
Yeah. I don't know what we used to call like when you see girls.
Yeah, I knew that's where it was going.
So. I thought it was like Whale Tail because like,
I saw those ears perk up on John. What are you talking about? Where's the Whale Tail?
Like Whale Tail.
Honey, I'm gonna go to Whale Tail. An archery shop.
Yeah.
It'll be the next thing on the cover of Looking Barrel.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a Wisconsin
archery
titty
shop
bar.
By
What?
day.
I was wondering what that stage was for.
They all got knocked up.
Customer
They had to
service.
close.
That's a different meaning behind knocked up. Like,
there we go.
They do serve beer there, so.
Yeah, a lot of archery shops do though. Even Buck Rub? They serve beer.
Mm.
Because people shoot leagues. You're done with your league. You're done with your 3D league, and then you're like, let's go get a
Buck Rub. What kind of archery shop?
Cool ones. Yeah, the best kind.
Buck Rub.
Yeah.
You need to come up here now.
Yeah, have you been to Wisconsin, John?
Yeah.
You're down in Texas.
I'm going down to Horny's hunting shop.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that one's in West Dallas. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's West Dallas.
That's a real strip club. Don't go there. Don't bring your bow there. Just your arrow.
Oh shoot!
Oh, that's silly. That's a good time. Anyway, so what? I mean, you've done some pretty cool things, being like the founder of Hook and Barrel and like starting this thing. And you talked about like you've kind of like made it proverbially here, and like you're there. What are some of the things that like are okay about it, or what are some went to New Zealand and we talked about your wife but like are there some other trips that you kind of biffed on or forgot this? Did you forget your release traveling across the country or anything weird?
Oh, dude. Look, if you are not screwing up, like you're not trying hard enough. Like anybody that's like, man, I'm like the best hunter in the world. Like, I don't know. I haven't quite been on a trip with one of those kind of people yet, but no, I mean, every day, like I said, my first buck was like 13 years ago or something like that. And it was a disaster.
How old are you, by the way?
Things get better. Like
30?
I'm
Oh,
38.
1 year older than me.
38.
I was trying to like be real nice and say 30 because you look like you're a young fella.
No, it's just the filter on the podcast.
We have that. Yeah. AI.
We don't.
No. I mean, everything. I think every time I go and do something, like I'm learning. So if like, I mean, school's never out, even for the pro, and so there's in his nature, right? Like, it's going to throw you a curveball, and so no matter if it's my deer lease that I've been on now for 5 years, and I know that land pretty darn well, and I have an idea of what's going to happen, inevitably that deer is going to come from somewhere like totally wrong, or there's going to be like an influence of a reason why I'm not at my optimal, like drinking around the campfire the whole night before. And I've got a good story about that, but, or like if you're in New Zealand and your wife gets motion sickness and she's hunting a tar with you and is like puking in a bag. So half the time you're holding the bag while you're like looking for, like, shit's gonna happen. That's what it is. It's the nature of the sport. And I mean, my Aoudad hunt, like I thought I was totally prepped. I had like been on the Stairmaster with like plates on my back and packing out and doing all this stuff and just like totally conditioned myself. And then, dude, I get up there 14 miles in, we stop for food. I eat some tuna fish I had with me. Actually, one of the guys we had with us had it. I don't know how long it had been in his truck. And the rest of the time, like I literally spent like shitting my brains out. And then I inevitably became dehydrated because I didn't have enough water with me for like, ridiculous amounts of shitting. And so, yeah. And so like I was cramping up on the way back, carrying this freaking packing this animal out. Like it could be any myriad of things. Like bad things happen. And I'm the first, like self-deprivation for me. Sometimes it might be like a nervous twitch where I'll just kind of like make fun of myself a little bit in serious situations, but realistically, like it happens. And I think it happens to everybody. Like, and if you're too big to admit that you've screwed up at some point in your hunting career, like, dude, like you're the dude that's on Instagram knocking me about having to like fly my animal out.
You're the D-bag.
I'm weak. I'm lazy. Like, no, I didn't have like 3 extra days to walk down this thing with this thing. So, like that's just kind of how it goes, man. Like my first deer, I don't know what I was doing. Like I had shot long distance. I had done a lot of things. I did a lot of shooting through college, but then I bought tags because my buddy was like, hey, you're really good at shooting skeet and trap. You should go dove hunting. So I bought the super combo here in Texas. I think at that time it might still was like $68. And you got literally everything from like saltwater to deer to turkey to whatever. And so like one morning it's like, hey, I want to go deer hunting. I've always wanted to do it and no one's ever showed me how to do it. So I drove around and found a deer and I was driving around in a golf cart. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just driving the road to the ranch. Cruising a golf cart. I'm cruising in a golf cart.
Did it have like big tires on it?
With a rifle.
Like, was it like a legit golf cart? Because I've seen those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bumping the sound system.
And I looked down the fence line. I'm like, there's one. And I sent it. And in full transparency, like I thought I shot a 6-point. I didn't know you count the browse at that time. Like I had shot an 8-point. It probably was still 2 years old. I probably should not have shot it, but I did. And then I walked up to him like, all right, now what? And then so I broke out my phone.
Yes, that's what I
did.
did.
I'm like,
that's great.
Yeah. And I'm like, my phone is disgusting now. It's covered in stomach bile. Like, this is disgusting.
Smell it every time you pick it up.
Smells like victory.
Yeah, reminds me of the hunt. Yeah. But like that was the beginning of my journey. And I could have quit or I could have just learned. And you just learn. But every time you go to hunt something new, it's a different game. And half the time you're hunting something you've always hunted and it's a different game. It's just conditions change and situations change and people change. And like, hell, since that day, I've been ate up with deer hunting. I missed one of the, actually I didn't even get a shot off at him last year. Like I had been waiting on my target buck. And this is going back to that story about drinking too much. Like the night before, the local moonshine dealer, had a great batch and we had tore it up. Matter of fact, I'm not really sure if I fully remember driving to the blind the next morning. Like I got in there, I'm like, oh, I feel like shit. I'm just gonna curl up on the floor and die. And then like an hour later, because I got up there like 4:00 in the morning, and like an hour later, this like salamander is crawling across me, and I feel like this weird, cold, wet thing on me. I'm like, oh fuck, what is this? And I at that moment, I heard something move. I'm like, I got up off the floor, and just in the twilight, the sun had just been starting to come up. I think that's probably what woke me up. There he was.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, shit. And I got so safety was still on. I'm like, you're messing around with the darn thing. And dude, he trotted off because he heard me. And so like I've been doing it now for a decade and you could still manage to screw up. And that's part of it. Like it's okay. Just go learn from your mistakes. Like don't drink like an
I've
idiot.
Literally had a
fire
deer
the night
wake me
before.
up before,
So now I go to bed early.
in the rifle opener here in Wisconsin. That deer, I did shoot it and I got it, but like it was one of those you woke me up. No, I can get you. I got a rifle.
Yeah.
You're gonna get it, buddy. You got to be further than that. But bow hunting, yeah, it's not happening.
But that's
crazy.
The truth. That's the truth, man. Shit happens, and it's okay.
Yeah,
just learn from it, and don't be too
failure
big
is
to
our best
admit it.
teacher. And there's been too many years that have gone by on TV hunting shows where they've never shown the failing parts of it, and I think that's not inherently their fault. I think it's because they can't show that stuff. But nonetheless, it never made the light of day, and therefore we all thought, and we've all talked about this. Like, I thought this is where you needed to be. I thought deer just start rolling in these timbers, and that's not how it goes. Lo and behold, and you learn that by learning it the hard way, usually. Otherwise, you just sit there twiddling your thumbs the whole damn time, wondering why they never saw anything.
Done that?
You know? Yeah, we've been there too. So we're Midwestern whitetail guys. Like it's different up here than it is in Texas, than it is in Arkansas, than it is in Pennsylvania, than it is in Florida, than it is in, like, everyone's got it uniquely different. There's different regulations, there's different circumstances, climates, terrain, so forth. It's all different. So like the internet has made it seem like everyone's gotten the same playing field, and that just ain't the truth. Anyway, Greg, you got any thoughts there, Greg?
Nope.
Bullshit. Should have another Belgian white.
No, I'm good.
You only brought one down. I know you weren't ready to play.
One's enough. One's enough.
I'm just giving a hard time. No, this is good. This is a good episode. So it's just hookandbarrel.com, but there is a restaurant called Hook and Barrel, so you got to watch out for that when you're Googling Hook and Barrel.
One of my best writers actually was at that restaurant.
Look where I am.
And he's like, it's actually really good. I'm like, cool. I hope it's in South Carolina. Like, so if you're in South Carolina, has nothing to do with us. But
check them out.
Hook and Barrel. You know how it is. I've always wanted to go
there.
Hey,
guys, while you're there.
For a while there, we competed for SEO. Now we don't.
Selfie. I didn't know the magazine had a restaurant.
Tell them that if they need some reading material when they're real busy, they should supply your magazine.
All wild game. That's all they serve. Totally illegal, but it's very good.
Totally
illegal. No, that was that one. One of my favorites is we had John Rich on our cover, and he, in good old Meta, they don't like to verify anybody, even if you want to pay for it now. And he tagged us, but unfortunately he didn't tag us. He tagged the knitting website or knitting Instagram page, like Hook and Barrel. I think those are knitting pages. I'm like, John Rich from Big and Rich is sending people
really
like,
happy that
and then
day.
we went there. They're
Check
like,
out these sick potholders.
Exactly. Well, not to mention, like, they were like listing their pronouns and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, what in the hell? Who did he? And I'm like, because I saw the post from John Rich. I'm like, that's definitely not us.
Try, pal, but that ain't us.
Yeah, good job. So, it's at Hook and Barrel Mag on Instagram, Hook and Barrel Magazine on Facebook, and hookandbarrel.com on the interwebs.
Cool. Yeah, and you guys are how many articles you pump out a week, would you say, on average?
So we print 6 times a year, so we're every other month. And then we roll that content online, and then we have digital writers as well. I wouldn't say like we just have waves of content coming online every week. But I would say we always have something new online. You should always check back. And if you're new to the brand, like if we don't have something new, just like go to like page 2, because that'll all be new. And then go to page 3, because that'll all be new to you too, if you've never read us before. Yeah. But just keep digging and just go down the rabbit hole of hookandbarrel.com. But so we're always putting out stuff. Like, we've started delineating our print magazine to be more of an entertainment magazine with some education. And we're starting to work online, because I have realized, and I bet you guys probably do this too, like, you use the internet to learn, and you actually like read or listen to be entertained. So, I'm never like, boy, I wonder what Lainey Wilson's doing today. Like, when I'm sitting in my deer blind, I'm like, why the hell am I not seeing that deer? Like, those are the articles that we're doing online. So like more tips and tricks. And as we get closer to the hunting seasons, we did a lot of turkey stuff in the beginning of turkey season. Now, as we're starting to get into the July time frame, when everyone starts thinking about deer again, we're starting to start running a lot more of that as well. So a lot of that stuff's online, just like super digestible nuggets. And there's a ton of gun reviews. And then there's just like a lot of fun stuff baked into it, like spearfishing for lionfish in Destin, Florida. And, what is Lainey Wilson doing?
Spearfishing for lionfish.
Hopefully.
That'd be cool. If Lainey Wilson spearfishing for lionfish, that's an article. And then she wrote a country song about it.
Yeah, I didn't. What's funny is you mentioned it. I didn't know like her backside went viral.
Oh
on
yeah,
TikTok.
because it was like
and then like
all like a truck, but it was like back in like a dump truck. I think it's kind of the viral. I mean, I'm not saying this. This is what the internet says.
I just heard you say it.
Came from your mouth.
Well, it's funny because I showed the picture of the article, and they're like, "Of course you have a picture of her like that," because it was like a picture of her playing to the crowd. I'm like, "What are you guys even talking about?" Like, because I'm not on TikTok. Like, I don't have time for internet like shenanigans. Like, I just work a lot, and so yeah. Well, Lainey, if
you're on the internet, you wouldn't be missing
even
it.
show you.
Oh, gosh, she seems like a nice lady.
Yeah, no, I mean, we just work all the time, so I have no idea what these trends are. Like, we had a social media team once, like trying to get me to do challenges. I'm like, what do you mean the Pepsi apple pie challenge? What the hell is a Pepsi apple pie?
I'm not doing
challenge?
that.
I've got a challenge for you. Yeah, is it Stifler's mom? I don't know.
Oh gosh,
I will not deflower your apple pie.
Anyway,
I just tripped into a new trend today. I've known about it, but I just literally taught myself how to do it, and it's not a dance. It's called a meme overlay. And
No,
it's a
he's
whole
gonna be
thing.
flossing down here.
Just wait till you see what goes on
meme
our Instagram
overlay?
and TikTok in the next couple weeks. It's gonna be meme overlay city over here. Yeah, right.
The hell's a
Is that
Exactly.
a
I didn't
meme
know
on a
that.
meme?
Memes on memes on memes. It's like
Double meme action?
it's basically you can take any video that exists
It's
on
like-
the internet and add a green screen. You can make it green screen. So like let's just use this example. Ross from Friends says, "Fine by me." Like I can cut out Ross saying that. I don't need the whole video. I can cut out just Ross, and I can put Ross and superimpose him over anything I want. And that's something I learned how to do today. And I'm pretty excited about it. Like I got really excited when I
that you're
figured out how to do video memes. Like we trendsetted the shit out of that, and now it's like tired and old news. And now we're gonna do a whole new thing.
wasn't that called like a
video
GIF?
gifs or I don't know, but we've been doing that for like 3 years, and like dozens of people have asked, "How do you do that? What do you use? Where do you find them? How do you Yeah. Just wait." just wait. We're gonna ride the next wave. I got a new surfboard, so I'm pretty jacked about it.
It's
But
gonna be
yeah,
good.
I'm not trying to like. I'm just excited. I'm just enthused, guys. This is not even a bragging thing. I'm just enthused about it because I figured it out. It took
I'm
a
sure
long
you'll
time.
kill it.
A couple hours of search the internet.
Yeah, you're gonna be the king
Memes
of
on memes.
overlay
Yeah,
memes.
we pretty much already are.
Memes on memes. It's like it literally is it is a merging of Grumpy Cat and Kermit drinking tea.
Yeah. There we go. I'll do both of those at the same time. Yes,
You overlay them.
precisely, and then you apply it to deer hunting.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Sprinkle. This is sprinkle of deer.
Sprinkle deer hunting in there, and then people go, "Yeah, that's me," and then they share it like 1,000 times. That's how it works. But no, this is good, man. This is a good episode. Thanks for chilling with us here on the Okayest Hunter podcast, where we set the bar as low as we possibly can, so we can only go uphill because Lord knows we like to suffer. And I'll kill the live stuff. John, hang out with us for a minute. We'll debrief. And do you got any parting thoughts?
Yeah. Cool.
No, you don't. It's like,
No.
play some music. Hold on.
No, actually, I did hear your thing about turkey hunting and the wife thing and all of that. So what I will say is setting the bar low, and my wife is glad she had to take the kid somewhere else, but like in life, if you set the bar really low with your wife as well, like as long as like he's turkey hunting, it could be a lot worse. He could be like trying to build a new truck in the driveway with his drunk buddies. Like you know, same thing with hunting. You gotta set the expectation for season very, very low, so you're able to get away from the wife and the kids. Like, oh, he's in the woods by himself. It could be a lot worse. He could be trying to like, you know, create that model rocket club he wants. You know,
He could be at Whale Tails.
just set the bar really low now, so that anything worse than really low. Yeah. So anything worse than right or anything better than how you set the bar preseason allows you just to go in the woods and sit in a tree during season. She's like, "Oh, it's great. It's way better than that freaking ice cream truck I did."
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I have 1,000 ideas. That's been a theme in our house. Like, oh God, my wife. I'm like, I gotta tell her. She goes, "Oh no. What now?" I'm like, no, it's not that bad. I just told you I have to go poop. Like, it's nothing major. But my wife's like, "Oh, I wish I could go sit in a silent tree in the woods." Or in a tree in the silent woods for hours on end while our kids are screaming in the background at her. She's texting me. I'm like, yeah, sorry. I do feel a little guilty, but I am waiting to shoot a deer. Like, you got to be quiet.
Yeah, so you just set the bar low now so that by season comes around, it's better than where you
I think
were.
that's good advice.
That's great. Well, I'm gonna mute the mic. We'll let the music roll out. John, hang tight for just a second.
All right. You got it.